All right. Yeah. So basically, for those people that don't know, they made a change to um, medical. Well, actually, it reverted a change, I guess, from medical vehicles not being able to, um, I guess, tier 3 beds, they're called. I forget. It's a tier 1 injury, tier 3 bed. I always mix them up. But the worst tier bed was no longer able to respawn at when I guess the C8R came in, but the Cutlass Red used to be able to. So they're kind of reverting a change here. And that change is that the C8R, the Cutlass Red, the Carrick, and the 890 Jump can all respawn players now. And the smaller beds respawn at, I think they said 20 kilometers. It's not true. I spawned millions of kilometers away, so they need to fix that. But the idea is that the smaller the bed, the closer you have to be. Again, that does not work. This is all in the PTU 3.23.1 PTU. And a lot of people were asking, what are my thoughts on it? I have some members of my community that are very much into doing beacons. That's what they do. This, in their minds, ruins everything. I don't entirely agree, but this is the post from Xylo here. Over here, but hold on, let me grab my camera and put it on this side. So he says, lots of great discussion happening here. This is around a post praising it. And he said, I'd like to chime in on a few notes. Previously, Tier 3 beds did not offer the utility outside of replenishing food and drink and minor injuries. True. Engaging in hostile actions or ground assault should necessitate strategic planning and logistics. True. Remember, when you die, you won't respawn with all your gear. You'll have to either navigate back to your body to loot or come with your vehicles equipped with extra gear before re-engaging. Also true. So it's falling in line with the same idea of they want you to prepare, right? So keep that in mind for what I'm going to discuss here. In long terms, the suicides respawn will not be your best option. We look forward to sharing more about this in the future, but generally, death in any capacity is intended to matter. The respawn distances shared in the patch notes are the current values for 323, but you should anticipate that these will be adjusted as balance requires. Again, these guys are clueless, and they never know when things are broken and when they're not. That has been broken for patches. If you set a spawn in a Carrick, you could respawn in it across the system. The game doesn't know. But that's regardless. That's a bug. That's something they can fix. The values they want are relevant, and what the fact that they're considering those values at all matter. Now, right now, I would probably see a lot of players rejoicing. I'm one of those players that this is a thing. So if I come prepared, then it's not bugged. I can respawn at 1 million, 2 million, a billion kilometers. It doesn't matter. I respawn at that location. So I don't know what you consider a bug or not. You were in a party, that it's still a bug then. If I'm in a party and I'm able to respawn because I'm in a party near, that makes no sense. So it doesn't matter. I'm not arguing with you right now about something like that. But the what are the issues? The issues here are the idea of, like someone being near the ship allows me to respawn it. That's odd, but okay. The issue here is I think what CIG did was look at their data and go, when somebody dies at a bunker or anywhere and goes into a down state, what is their default action? It is not to press M, it is to press backspace and respawn, because nobody wants to wait 35 minutes for somebody to come rescue them for a little bit of FPS armor. So what did CIG do instead? They decided to allow you to respawn. Sounds like a good thing, right? Are they doing this based on the data and going, yeah, players default to backspace, so let's give them the opportunity to come prepared and be ready and spawn in their ship? Yes, that's what I think they were doing there. There's also a ship sale or a vehicle sale, because I have not mentioned that there is now a medical Ursa, and they have the respawn applied to that as well. So the idea that this has nothing to do with the ship sale is hilarious to me. Of course it does. Of course it has to do with making money. It always does. But let's think about the game here and ignore that obvious issue. Let's think about the game here, because I had Zach Priest come in chat and say, the person who decided to make this change decided this a long time ago, way before this vehicle ever existed. This was always a plan, so on and so forth. So let's assume that he's telling the truth, because I think he is. Okay? But the timing of it probably has something to do with the ship sale, right? So regardless, I think they're looking at the data and reacting to it in the incorrect way. But in general, I'm happy with the change. If you come prepared, you get a little bit less pain. I died a few times at bunkers today on purpose, and it's a really nice experience to wake up in your Ursa or your C8R and go back down and get your stuff. It's actually kind of nice, right? So you make a little mistake, it's not like so punishing. But what's the issue at the moment? The issue is that you can endlessly respawn. But for me, the issue is I don't think CIG is making the best solution to the problem, or currently trying to resolve the root of the problem. What was the root of the problem with medical beacons? Well, they are trying to resolve this problem. The root of the problem is that there's not enough players in your area, right? That's the starting problem. Server meshing is being worked on. That's going to be a big fix for that. The second problem is that when you go into a down state, your eyes are like all fuzzy and you can't see anything. And it's on the bottom right corner now. You can't even read the text to tell you to press M. It like fades in and out. So how many players are looking at and going, M? Most of them are just traps. No, they're not. I highly doubt more than 70% of the medical beacons are traps. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. There's no chance. Are some medical beacons traps? Yes. Could they add reputation to medical beacons? That was always intended. Never did it. Right? So there's a lot of things that are problematic here with this. Just generally the camera when you're down. We also know, this is through Richard Tyra coming in chat yesterday and talking about this in previous SCLs, about the new down state is intended to allow you to heal yourself, to revive yourself for a short period of time, also move around. So there's all these changes that are coming that take beacons and make them not good. Right? Double AK posted on Spectrum about it today. I will try to find that post because he's the main guy that I'm talking about. That was 23 days ago. Let me see if I can find this post from advanced search, maybe. Yeah, let me do it that way. In defense of beacon response gameplay. Okay, here we go. Because he feels very strong. I talked about this with him all morning. I do not agree that it's like over. And like he was super upset. I'm not feeling like it's as big of an issue as he thinks. So this is the other side of it. Okay? Beacons are one of the few generators of organic, emerging gameplay experiences. They're all player-facing. They foster an atmosphere of teamwork and trust, and the community either thinks they're traps, which they rarely are, or they don't even know they exist. I think this is the big problem here. CIG doesn't explain them in the new player experience. Content creators rarely talk about them unless they're repeating the same tired myths or perpetuating them for Twitch views. Content creators don't use them because it's bad gameplay to sit there and wait. It's unenjoyable, and it's not fun to watch, and guess what? It's not fun to play either, right? So, and he's not talking about me in this case. Actual puzzles were presented to the rescuer. Problems were solved. Sure, there was waiting. Some players would take a beacon without knowing it due to the annoying deluge of the top screen notifications, and others would take 45 plus minutes. With some proper guidance and restriction, yeah, obviously, something has to change with the beacons, and they should want to support the beacons. The cost for beacons are too high. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs you time, right? So this like perpetuating things for Twitch views, if he is talking about me, which I know he's not, that's hilarious, because pressing backspace is not for Twitch views. Pressing backspace is because I would rather be in control of my character and the experience than not. 15K, I think it's paid out randomly, right? Or do you pay the 15K cost? If you think 15,000 is a lot in this game, that's funny. Honestly, I don't use the beacons. And if you pay the 15K, it's such a small amount that I never noticed that I paid the 15K. Right? Burks has literally waited for beacons. He hates backspacing. I also hate backspacing. I want beacon gameplay to exist. I want a downstate where I can possibly revive myself. I like playing with other people so they can revive me. I'm in agreement. Backspacing is the worst thing, right? That's the worst possible choice, and they should punish it. But not in this way. They should make it a better experience to be revived by players, right? 15K is a third of funds for beginners. What I'm telling you is that you're not a beginner for like after an hour. If you didn't go and decide to do a combat related thing right away, you likely would have enough money to pay for a beacon. There is so much inflation in this game. Do not argue with me on this point. I am talking about the general game overall, and I'm not talking about new players. Come on. Come on. I am talking about the general game overall. Have I seen Deadly's playthrough? Deadly Slob is doing a 0 to hero. That's entirely different. Right? This is no way you can argue this with me, and I won't stand to listen to these arguments at all. I normally listen to everything everybody says, but that is so I am not out of touch at all. Look at the game, look at the prices of the missions for you to complete. They are significantly over 15K. The only people that are out of touch are the people who are making arguments that don't exist. Okay? It may be tough initially for a new player, yes, but I am talking about the general game overall, kind of past the new player experience. Yeah, and you're derailing me off the subject completely at this point. Beacons are not good, and something needed to be done. Was this the choice of what needed to be done? I don't think so. Right? It didn't help when you released C8R, and again, C polls with 298 votes. None of these polls are relevant. And especially this one is entirely skewed. I primarily use it for rescue beacons. Why would you use a C8R for rescue beacons? You're using it for yourself. Of course you are. Like, none of these things make sense. It is a single-seater ship that can heal you. You're using it for yourself, right? And how many people use rescue beacons? 20. Right? That's the thing here, is why would you use something that nobody's using? So the issue here is creating a reason to use beacons or to make them easier to use, right? And here is the point that I really want to get to, and I'm curious what you guys think about this, is I look at this as a situation with the C8R and the Medical Ursa coming in, and a little bit the red, but the red's more expensive. C8R, Medical Ursa, when you're able to buy them in game, are going to be very, very cheap. Right? C8R has a jump seat. Okay. It's not like it's not like you're rolling around in multi-crew in a C8R. But again, you guys are making arguments that are totally against the point. It doesn't matter. The idea here is that the ships that you can fit these vehicles in either already have a medical bed, or you're making a sacrifice on cargo space for them. So, for example, a C2, you're giving up a decent amount of cargo space to put that in there. Should the C2 theoretically have a med bed that you can respawn in? My argument is probably. It's about the same size as those other ships. That kind of makes sense. Corsair's an interesting one, but the issue here is that you can take those vehicles out, put the cargo in, fly away, so on and so forth. So there is a little bit of issue there. Given that you have to give something up to use these, I'm not convinced that these vehicles are going to be used outside of multi-crew gameplay as much as you think, right? So is the solo player going to rock the Cutlass Red all the time now? Some may, most will not. Are they going to rock the C8R? I think some may, and I think most will not, right? That's something. Then on top of that, I think that the people who are going to use these are going to be using them in a crew. And guess what could happen in a crew anyway? You're not using a beacon, and you're just going to be using a medical gun to revive them with your friends nearby. So do I think beacons will still exist and all this, oh my God, beacons are going to go away forever thing? No. I don't think they're going to. I think people still might use them. I think they're going to use them in the same frequency that they were probably using them in before, because the solo player that cared to respawn was probably going to be using the like Carrick to do bunkers anyway in previous times. Now will like somebody like me who, when I'm doing bunkers, am I going to bring a C8R with me? Of course I am. And you know what I think happened? I think CIG made the gameplay easier. I think they made it more simplified, a little bit easier for new players, easier and more enjoyable for other players. Because who wants to sit there? Who wants to backspace and fly 1,000,000 miles? Yeah, less frustrating is the right way of saying it. It is less frustrating now. And that was the choice that they made. And was that a good choice to make things less frustrating? Yes. Was it the right choice overall for the game? It helped more players than it hurt. But my question is what are your plans long-term for medical? What are your plans long-term for respawn? Like, there's a lot of questions that are up in the air, and I think that's why people are upset, is they don't know. My vision for what medical gameplay was supposed to be doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what the intention of medical gameplay and what the medical profession looks like. I don't know what that looks like anymore. Right? I think we thought we had an idea with the lack of respawning and medical beacons. I think we thought we had that idea. Now we don't. Right? Now we don't. And they're holding it. And you know what they're holding it for. And it's crazy because it's May. Why are you holding this information back in May? Also, Richard Tyrer is sharing that information in a Twitch chat, but Xylo can't say. He's sharing some of it, not all of it probably, but Xylo can't say it in a Spectrum post. So there's a lack of communication going on here. We know about the downstates that are coming. They could have mentioned that. Like, it's just the direction that they don't want to go in is the medical gameplay of you are 1 billion miles away and it takes forever, right? So we'll have to see. But I don't think it's doomsday for medical beacons. I think it's more of a problem at a thing like Jumptown. I think it's more of a problem like there's no end to this. Like, it needs to have a limited amount of respawns that are doing, that are decided by a consumable of some kind. We've had this conversation before. If anybody remembers the Cargo Karen drama from like a year ago, maybe more, there was a never-ending respawn that was happening on a I forgot, a Carrick, I think, and there was a pirate that was boarding them and trying to kill them, and they killed them over and over and over and over again, and somebody posted it on Reddit. And the person who was being killed over and over again did not report them apparently, but somebody else reported them. Yeah, Karen, that's what it was. And did not report them, and then but somebody got a threatened of a ban or did get banned in game, something like that. Like a viewer reported them, and CIG took action on that. But now they're bringing that capability back without the fix to that issue yet. So it's a thing. How I look at this is a sniper glint, this is a master modes, and now we have respawning. This is a very incomplete feature without the game design discussion had with the viewer, had with the player. And that's what CIG is so hard to deal with. Is I look at a game that is widely also considered a scam, and that's Ashes of Creation. But what they do is they set their clear design ideas out on the table for their game and for their certain features, and they go step by step and achieve those goals slowly. CIG tells you nothing, makes a change, everybody freaks out. Xylo makes a post saying basically nothing, and everybody still has to speculate what's happening. Right? Man, I would hate to hear what this guy thinks about Dual Universe. That game sucked. That's what I think. But here, we're sitting here going, there's no communication at all. So everybody's speculating on what is happening. You have AK, like, this is literally his, like, avatar sign, like, is a beacon, is obsessed with this stuff, has literally made a website of all of his beacons that he's done. Okay? Freaking out because he thinks his gameplay is going away. But nobody knows. Right? Nobody knows what's going on. And that's the problem, is the community would be a lot less crazy if they outlined the design. Here's our design. And then you watch them go step by step by step. Instead of making one of the steps and then us not knowing what the next steps are. So if they make the one step and you know it's leading to something else that makes sense, does this step now matter? Right? Master modes, people are losing their minds over. But at the very least, they're doing their best to try to outline what the next steps will be. Make light fighters more agile, make 1v1s more fun, so on and so on. There's a laundry list of things. But again, they dealt with that issue too, is you like hop in and you go into master modes and you're like, oh, this isn't good. And then you think this is the end, right? And I think they're very clear about saying like, hey, the game is testing and it's not the end. But what they don't do is give you their clear design vision and then watch you achieve that goal, right? So for me, I like some of the changes that happened with the FPS game. I like the UI changes that happened with looting, right? So for me, I sit there and go, all right, for the most part, I trust the people that are in charge now. Where the last 5 years, I didn't trust them as far as I can throw them. But for now, I feel like I can somewhat trust that they're trying to do good things. The red hit markers, I absolutely hate that, right? But they're useful. I tell you what, they're useful, right? So some players will like them, some players will not. I hope they go away. That's my personal preference. I want a more immersive experience. I do not want to see a red hit marker on the screen that lets me know when a character dies. I don't want to hear a sound. I don't want those things in this game. But I'm one person, and they feel like they do, and some things I will have to make concessions on. This is not one I really want to make a concession on. It's kind of a hill I want to die on. But the issue is they're going to make some choices, but they don't make them and tell you the clear vision of anything, right? And it is what it is. But overall, the change to FPS, I really like. So I trust them in the sense of I think they largely understand the assignment now is to make this a game. And I think that they're trying to do that. But some things are going to work, some things are not. But I tell you what's never going to work is if you make a change without telling me what your intentions are, none of it's going to work. So that's where I stand on that. I am of the ilk now that I'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. And the problem is if we wait and see what happens, we've already been waiting for 12 years. So I don't want to wait and see what happens. I want to know what direction we're going in. I want to know clearly. I want there to be a page. I want there to be a post. I want there to be something as a creator I can point somebody to when they're upset about something like master modes, like Sniper Glint, like medical, that I can say, this is the design intentions of the game. And if you don't like it, this is not the game for you. And CIG to not change or move that goalpost for the 500th time. It is that once server meshing gets in, they have to make a clear design decision and stick to it. That's it. Once they know how many players approximately they're going to have in a server, they need to be clear with their player base and the people that are spending lots and lots of money on them to make a video game. Will that happen? It won't. It won't. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop yelling about it. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop saying it should. It won't happen, though, because the vagueness of Star Citizen is what sells it to you. The vagueness of Star Citizen is what makes this guy think that medical beacons are bigger than they are, or made him think that medical beacons were going to stick. Right? They're what makes you think that you're going to take out your Hull C and be, a traitor or be these things. Is because the issue is we don't know what we're going to be. We don't know what the game is going to be. We don't know how it's going to play out because it's constantly changing as they develop it. And that's both a good thing and a bad thing. So it's so good to see that they see how we react to something and then they're reactive to it. But it's also so bad that they don't have a clear vision that you know what they're going for. So I'm going to let them do their thing on master modes. I'm going to let them do their thing with the Sniper Glint and the hit markers. We're going to let them play out for a little while. But I really hope they sit us down line by line on what their design decisions are going to be. Because I think they've been having design meetings about the same things for 12 years. Like they played another video game and it's time to change things, right? Carcoput was talking about leaving the game because it's not going in the direction he had hoped. Okay. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the same thing if the game isn't fun for me. But we're all sitting here because of the vagueness, because we don't know. Right? We don't know if it's going to be what we want or if it's not going to be what we want. We're all hoping that it is what we want. And they know that. And that's why it's never going to change. They love the idea that we create headcanon about a ship or a vehicle and about what we're going to do with it and about what we're going to do in the game instead of playing it. They love that. It's the reason they have almost $700 million. That's why. Right? That's why. So I would love them to be more clear, but I think we're, as always, overreacting to things. I know, hilarious coming from me. I overreact to literally everything, but that's where we're at with this. It could be good, it could be bad, but in general, I think it is a better situation than most people, but it is more people are in a better situation today than they were yesterday with this feature change. But what is the design for medical? What choices are you going to make? Right? What do you want to do? What's the idea here? What do you want these players to be? Like, I'm thinking more along the lines of, all right, well, like, are they thinking about medical armor? What are they thinking about doing? Are beacons only going to go to those places? Like, can you only see a beacon if you're wearing medical armor? What, I don't know. It can go all sorts of ways, but They got to tell us. They just got to tell us, man. I don't know. I don't know.